Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. This is your girl Ginger and Sister Jenny, Auntie Jenny. And if you want to get formal, as Miss Jennifer Fedrick, another edition of Without Eating People, I apologize for starting this late. I was hustling to do something. I was actually listening to the Stuart Young interview, MP Stuart Young interview on the I-95.5 program, Evening Drive with Darren Mansell. So that kind of kept me back a little. But here, right? And then currently today, rain was falling, so I was wondering, oh God, I hope it's not a repeat of yesterday and that kind of thing, right? But I always say once I'm able to do it, and thanks to Director again for giving me the space, and thanks to all those who always locked on tune in to Let Me Talk the Ting on Facebook and on YouTube, the Bounce Up Network, the bounceup.com, right? So let me start the thing. Today is Wednesday, people. The week almost over. Time and tide waits on no one. And as somebody does always say, time longer than twine. So let me start this thing right. On the pledge, Trinidad and Tobago.
I solemnly pledge to dedicate my life to the service of my God and my country. I will honor my parents, my teachers, my leaders, and my elders, and those in authority. I will be clean and honest in all my thoughts, my words, and my deeds. I will strive in everything I do to work together with my fellow men of every creed and race for the greater happiness of all and the honor and glory of my country.
So people, let's get the show rolling. So I always like to do some African history. And even that they have a problem with they say, I'm always talking black thing, but I'm not supporting a black woman. I don't know if being black is an automatic support that you would get. I think it's based on your ability and capabilities. That is what it is about. Anyway, some people just think different. So let me start off with this.
They always knew we were talented. Even when we had nothing, we had rhythm. Even when we were chained, we still danced. They studied that, and they turned it into a trap. Du Bois gave them the blueprint, the talented tent, the top 10%, the black elite. They filled it with our singers, our dancers, our rappers, our actors, our preachers, our politicians, our influencers. They gave them deals, endorsements, billboards, magazine covers, mansions with glass ceilings and golden gates. They called it success, but it was a cage. The prettiest cage ever built. You sign the contracts, you take the photos, you smile with your other trap friends on the red carpet. You stay quiet while the people suffer. You nod and wave, but your soul knows. You were chosen to entertain, not to liberate, because one wrong move, one tweet, one protest, one truth, and you're no longer chosen. So you stay silent. They bought your voice with gold. They dressed your silence in diamonds. They told you you made it. But what you really did was trade your freedom for fame. This is the prettiest cage they ever built to stop liberation.
After slavery, the white elite realized something dangerous. You can't stop Black brilliance. Even stripped of land, language, and wealth, Black people still rose. They saw it, and they feared it. So they did what they do best: create control. In the early 1900s, they created a secret society, the Black Boule. It was made to manage the future of Black excellence before it became revolution. They called it talent, but it was always about influence. Record labels, endorsements, media, they pay us to entertain, but never to liberate. They choose who gets rich, and they decide who stays invisible. And if anyone steps out of line, they're silenced, because there's a code, and the Black Boule stays on code. Athletes, singers, actors, influencers, they'll speak for trends, but never truth. They are in charge of the distractions and bury the revolutionaries, because the system doesn't need chains anymore, just enough comfort to keep us quiet. We stay dropping these knowledge bombs.
They told the Black elite a lie. There's not enough gold for all of you. Only the best can eat. Only the chosen will rise. So they offered them titles, chairs at tables, a few chains, some land, and silence. And they said, help us manage the rest. Keep your people in line, not free. That lie became legacy, and the Black Boule was born, not to lead us to liberation, but to keep us from reaching it, because they weren't promised freedom, just a seat beside their masters. This is the unwritten truths. Stay tuned.
This is the Black Knowledge app, a space built for us to network, grow, and build together. You can download it today on Apple and Google Play.
Yeah, I will keep talking about blackness, because blackness is not mediocrity. Blackness is not about not being capable to do the job, but still pushing the person to do the job. We are excellence. We come from a proud people that work hard and have been working hard and continue to work hard. We're not going to slide by mediocrity at all. Leave that for them who does cheat on exam and them who does do all kind of corruption. That is for them. That is not for we. So let me continue. Yeah, this one. No, the silence was deliberate. We as a people, sometimes, although we listen, sometimes we have to learn to read and understand. That is what that is, and was about the first Black woman to have a bank. Yeah. Sometimes you need to read. It may have been going quick, but that's how life goes. It goes quickly. So we have to be clicking. We have to be there. Just knowing because a Black woman, go find the video, go listen to it. Let me continue. I just shake up thing and mix up thing, you know. You ain't getting things static here, you know. So listen to this one too.
The art of being Black is often an acrobatic act in defending Black humanity in a world that worships a pale, long-haired Anglo-Saxon savior, even though the Bible clearly describes him as a bronze-skinned, woolly-haired Hebrew. History continues right before our very eyes each time the importance of Black lives is denied. What happens to unhealed souls left to linger in bodies that hold on to trauma? The immortal imprisoned by mortals who thrive on fears stoked by lies. And where do those souls go when the trauma is intergenerational? Uninformed race theory critics beget flag-waving parents professing patriotism who prefer their children pretend to be as blind to color as we purport Lady Liberty to be to justice. But she needs glasses so America can see how easy it is to be so indifferent to slavery when it's viewed solely as black history. But the holy truth is, slavery is white history too. As white as snow-covered plantations in the winter cold, as white as cotton before picked by bloody pricked fingers, as white as white abolitionists, and as white as the white men who own slaves themselves. How much of a toll does it take to drown a soul in the sea of wickedness? To twist and contort to justify an evil that annihilates human rights in the name of God? And what of the intergenerational transmission of trauma passed down to the descendants of those whose religion was genocide and theft of other human lives? And what of the souls of the descendants of the voiceless who had no choice but to stand idly by? Confederate flags still get waved to commemorate defeated states whose desire to own slaves was so great they initiated an uncivil war on their own country.
Yeah. That was the late, I have to say no, great Malcolm Jamal Warner. God rest his soul, giving us some lyrics there. I want to continue. Yesterday we had some weather that affected people more in the West. I heard words like tornado. I saw galvanized in the air like if it was birds. I thought it was birds flying. Whole roof gone, whole house collapsed. I was like, what on earth is that? So let's hear what this was about. Is it signs of the times? Is it due to climate change that the Trump administration has laughed at, has ridiculed? I don't know.
The whole house. I hope it won't reach here. It will fly out the window. Oh, see, oh God! Oh God! Two houses? That's crazy. 3 houses!
We should go inside.
people. I think you see all in American thing, whirlwind, tornado, house flattened just so it's a hurricane that passed through. I hope the people in Westmoreland get whatever help that they need, and wow, that is devastating. So, Member of Parliament Hansi Veens was out surveying the scene and talking to reporters about the incident.
Already made the contacts for our office as well as residents. It is an active community in terms of keeping in contact with the relevant agencies when things happen. Again, it's unfortunate, and we'll do what we can do, however we can assist to remedy this situation that is in front of us. As for now, it's just really helping the residents get back to some form of normalcy, because just, any citizen anywhere in the world, if your roof is blown off, it's somewhat of a life-changing event. You have to make a lot of adjustments. Some of the individuals who lost their roofs, they actually have kids, so it's moving around their family to say which relative will sleep where tonight, and those sorts of things. So again, we will just do our best. We will look at what grants, etc., are available for people in these situations, and hopefully residents can get access to those grants and repair their properties in front of them. So, go ahead.
How many houses were affected?
So we don't have an exact number. Probably about 3 houses at least that were affected on the street alone. But we also have damages in other parts of Westmoreland, Victoria Gardens, North some minor damage in terms of electricity issues, and further towards La Puerta, we know there's some issues as well.
Yes, so that's the Hansi Veens Member of Parliament for Diego Martin. Only forget me, it used to be constituency of Dr. Key Christopher Rowley. And it's not central. Can't remember what it is. Anyhow, forgive me, he out there talking and surveying the damage that was done with his constituents. All you remember a long time on Sesame Street, it used to have this spelling, right? Like we learn from ABC. So for instance, you used to have like, you take a R that's root and a AT at, you put them all together and they spell rat, that's rat. R-A-T, rat, that's rat. R-A-T, rat. You take a R that's root and a A-T at, you put them all together and they spell rat. Here the next one. You take a C that's K and an A-T at, you put them all together and they spell cat, that's cat. C-A-T, cat, that's cat. C-A-T, cat. You take a C that's girl and an A-T at, you put them all together and they spell cat. All of us want to know what I'm talking about. It is alleged, according to Dr. Dowlat, the Minister of Education, and here the Ministry of Education infested with rats. That is what I'm hearing. So I want to tell the government minister, think outside the box, because if you can get insect vector or curry or exterminator, and you're only putting on poison or even putting on cheese, and all they can get, think outside the box. I feel all they need to get black cat, you need to get a white cat, you need to get a brown cat. Remember I say C-A-T cat. You need to get gray cat, a orange cat, a small cat, a fat cat, a stray cat, and let me tell you something, even a maga cat. But here we're going on. If all them things okay, might have to get the Oropooch pussy cat. I just saying, oh God, all is not easy. So let me tell you something. After all the joke and all this, let me tell you something. Rat infestation, it spells meningitis and all other diseases that are associated with that. Get some cats up inside, C-A-T cats. Get some cats up inside the ministry. Put it there Friday. By the time they come Monday morning, all them rat there, or they just have to find them cat and them, because them cat and them might be fat from eating rat. But do something, Dr. Dowlat. You can't have people working in those conditions, it is alleged. Again, Ministry of Education, I understand it is alleged there is a rat infestation. So get some cats. If nothing is working, get some cats. Cats eat rats. Do something. You can have workers working in that condition because anybody gets sick up inside, they will take this government to court, you know. Because you can't be in a place where it has rat droppings and rat and you hear scratch, scratch, scratch. Get some cats. Even get the pussy cat. That might be able to help. So let me move on. I'm very serious and I tell all I just laugh, but me making joke and I'm very, very serious. So let me continue. You take a C that's and a T at, they put them all together and they spell cat. That's cat. C-A-T, cat. That's cat. C-A-T, cat. All of us learned that when we was young going to school. That is how we learn the alphabet and learn to song words and put them together and how to pronounce the words. Yeah? So in Ministry of Education, get some cat to deal with them rats. Okay. Is that what kind of cat? Cat. So people, I am seeing, hey, you have to laugh this wrong, you know? You have to laugh. Because let me tell you something. So this was in The Guardian 22 hours ago. It's not 22 now. You know, it's more than that, but The Guardian today. Probe launch after tourboat sinks off no man's land. So some tourboats sink in Tobago, Papa. The Boco Reef Management Committee has launched an investigation after a tourboat sank near the no man's land, Tobago, over the weekend. The committee has also confirmed that the boat operator is licensed. The boat operator license has been suspended and that new policy changes are being reviewed. Chairman of the Boco Reef Management Committee, Alan Stewart, said an emergency meeting was called following the incident. An emergency meeting was called to discuss our findings based on the incident, and as a result of that, there are certain actions to be taken, Stewart said. One would do a thorough investigation to see exactly the relevant authorities with the responsibilities to look into the incident and see whether there were any violations. Videos which began circulating online on Sunday evening showed passengers climbing off the sinking vessel as it went down near the reef. The incident occurred on Saturday around 10 p.m., which was outside the park's operating hours. Activities at the park are supposed to come to an end at 6 p.m. Stewart confirmed that the investigators are looking into whether any rules were broken. It has been said to be an area that requires access and permission to access. And we know that the marine park functions from a certain time, he said. So the occurrence of it after hours, meaning therefore in the night, is an indication that something went amiss, wrong. And therefore the investigators will definitely look at those issues and advise us as to the direction going forward. He said the committee is also making recommendations to improve management of the marine park. Oh God, all this, let me just read one more paragraph. I'm happy that nobody drowned or any incident harming nobody, right? So they're going to investigate the thing. The park is supposed to be closed by 6 o'clock. This boat sink, 10 o'clock, people out there on this boat. All right, so they're going to investigate it, very serious issues. And if they find anything wrong, whatever, well, they will deal with that, right? So that's coming from Tobago there. No disrespectful, but it's basically the same thing that you're saying. So I'm glad that nobody was hurt. Let me continue. First Citizen Bank holding well. Boy, is everybody, this government, touching everybody. So I'm seeing here in www.cnc3.com news, the board of the First Citizen Group Financial Holdings Limited has tendered its resignation today ahead of tomorrow's special general meeting at which new board members are scheduled to be nominated. The special meeting of shareholders will be held at the National Academy for the Performing Arts at 10 a.m. The chairman of the last board was Anthony Smart, along with directors Courtney B. Williams, Savitri Sipasad, Idris, Omar Dean, Giselle McFarlane, Troy Garcia, and Colin Wolf. Group CEO of majority state-owned First Citizen Bank Group, Karen DeBasi, is on vacation leave until October the 21st. Group Deputy CEO Jason Julian is set to take the helm of First Citizen Holding Limited, which is fully owned by the corporation, Seoul, on behalf of the government. It remains the majority shareholder in the First Citizen Group, holding 63.43% of the shares. The remaining ownership is divided among the invested public, 24.07%, and the TT Unit Trust Corporation, 3.43%. And the National Insurance Board of Trinidad and Tobago, 8.07%. The First Citizen Bank, the main subsidiary of the group, manages an asset base exceeding $38 billion. The institution operates 25 branches across Trinidad, 3 in Tobago, and 5 in Barbados, as well as a representative office in Costa Rica dedicated to serving the Latin American clientele. All I just remember the bacchanal it had when I was trying to get the woman who's the CEO to go and leave, and it wasn't time to go and leave yet because she wasn't time to retire yet. And now we hear the shares or something. So the bank in First Citizen Bank, something dropped. I hear something in the Republic Bank also. And we have to remember that is the government bank. So if things start to go badly, it is alleged that they wanted the woman to lend the government money under certain conditions, and she was not paid because there's a criteria. It is alleged. I don't know how true it is. So I don't know if it's this new board coming out, they're going to try to change and do things. Because remember, the last time they were in office, 2010 to 15, when they come out of office in 2015, after the central bank governor told the incoming government led by Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, who won the election, that the country is in a recession. I had 3 negative growth. Yeah, 3 periods of negative growth. So we're in a recession. Well, and then the government, Dr. Rowley and his government, had to pay the 14% settlement at Cameron Pesad, and her government would have made her public officers, even though they had known oil prices had dropped from $100 and something a barrel to about $40 something, and that the country was in a recession. They committed the government to paying a 14% increase in salaries. And this, the PNM government didn't neglect on it. They paid it. They borrow money to make sure they paid. When they went to central bank, I understand, to look for money for other things, central bank say, everything max out. I paid it my way. When they went to the oil companies and them to say, hey, all you're not paying, all your corporate taxes, they say, hey, you ain't getting memo or what? We don't have to pay nothing until 2024, boy. We doing what we have to do. All them things the PNM meet, and Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, along with Minister Stuart Young, Member of Parliament now, former Prime Minister also, and Minister Energy and Energy Industries, former Minister of National Security, former Minister in the Ministry of Legal Affairs, and also in the Office of the Prime Minister, had to go and renegotiate. Had to go and negotiate all them loan and them. Had to renegotiate it, and that is how they even bring up the taxes paying from 18%, I think that Cameron Pesad had them paying, to 30-something%. Anyway, so we was getting more money. I gave already the backstory because we have to keep an eye on First Citizen Bank. We have to keep an eye on this. Before I read this next story here, I want to play this for you because the UNC is hoping to bring the stand your ground laws in Parliament for it to be debated and whatever. They have been having consultation, and to me, it looked like it's UNC consultation, and it looked like it's one people going to that. And there has been conversation about shooting people in the back. making people feel that if somebody come in your house, you could just shoot them down just so and say stand your ground and no police will be involved and all them kind of thing, right? Since that, the People's National Movement has been having consultation, and we learned from Senior Counsel Larry Lala that there is no immunity in the law there that they want to pass, that if somebody come in your house and you shoot them and say self-defense, that is the end of it. What happens? The police still have to investigate, and if they things that have to go to court, it have to go in front of a judge. You want to end up on bail, you have to end up ready to call your case and all that. So it ain't as cut and dry as they say. Also, when I went to the consultation, the first one they had done in Port of Spain, in the constituency Port of Spain sort of thing, at town hall, I asked a question because when I was doing some research, I saw in Florida and all the places that are standing ground, it speak about racial inequity and racial bias, meaning the people who are more affected or most affected by standing ground laws is people of color and African people. Them getting shoot down and white people able to say standing ground. And if by chance a black person shoots a white person, the way that does let off a white person shoot a black person, the black person doesn't make shade. So that is where the biases also come. So I want all of you to listen to this. If all you think this thing is joke, listen to this.
I'm not a lawyer, but the jury in the Texas versus Tony Earls Jr. case has just sentenced Tony to the maximum. He has been sentenced to 20 years in prison for the death of 9-year-old Arlene Alvarez. Here's a quick clip of the judge reading the sentence.
We, the jury, having found the defendant Tony Earls guilty of the offense of manslaughter, assess his punishment at Select 1, imprisonment in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for a term of 20 years and no fine. Does any side want the jury to be pulled? This is signed by the foreman of the jury, also printed by the foreman of the jury.
After the sentence was read, Arlene's mother, Wendy Alvarez, took the stand to give more words.
Tony Earls, I saw that you wanted to apologize to us. But what you did that night was wrong. And you need to pay for your consequences. 20 years is not enough because my daughter is going to be there for life. You get to breathe, you get to see, you get to feel. My daughter doesn't. Nobody's perfect. We're all humans. I understand. We're not perfect ourselves either. But you took a big part of our heart that night.
And with that, Tony was escorted out. I am going to be a mess all day. And also, FYI, I am talking about this case on my podcast that will be released tomorrow, meaning Friday. So you can find it on my YouTube page. You can find it anywhere podcasts are found. I'll be talking with Attorney Stara, a Texas lawyer, and we talked about the Texas law. We talked about if the robber is ever found, could he be charged, and some other things. So make sure you tap in and give your thoughts on this very sad case.
Life was close, but they were quick. Once a person of African descent, in my opinion, is involved, and as a white person at the receiving end, they'll be quick to bring the black person to justice. When it's on the other side, they remember Trayvon Martin and all that. It seems like it just get away. So I'm just concerned about the stand your ground laws and that racial inequity and racial bias that nobody seems to want to address frontally. Everybody's skirting around it. So as I continue, I'm seeing here, all this 3 days ago is relevant because when I saw it, I just gave a little shock to myself because I think people need to stop being disingenuous. Public servants will get 10% wage hike, predicts labor expert. Despite the upcoming deficit budget and the economic challenges that the country faces, industrial relations consultant, who is also a former chief labor relations officer at the Ministry of Labor, Sabrina Gomez, believes that the Public Service Association will receive a 10% wage settlement in the next fiscal year. While Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar has admitted that it will be another deficit budget in early October, she qualified that statement by saying that it will be a very good budget with elements to generate revenue. In an interview with the Business Guardian, Gomez, who has had decades of experience in industrial relations and dealing with trade unions, spoke about possible wage increases and the other labor-related topics that will arise and should be addressed in the upcoming budget and the current fiscal year. Again, I'm not going to read this whole thing. So I'm going to stop at where she says that she believes public officers is going to get a 10% wage increase. I want to tell Ms. Gomez, with the greatest of responsibilities, but greatest of respect, I mean, why is it something you are missing? Why missing? Because I understand a 10% is not an automatic increase. It is the starting point of the negotiations. You seem to be missing that. There is no guarantee we get no 10%. The government would have stated they started negotiations at 10%. It means as a union, you sit before the CPO for the period, and that's what we asking Felicia Thomas about, is the period 2014, 15, and 16. When that is over, is it going to be another 10% for the period 17, 18, 19? When that is over, will it be another 10% for the period 2021, 22? When that is out of the way, will it be another 10% for the period 2023, 24, 25? I'm asking. Because if we do our negotiations based on the retail price methodology, it means that we look at how inflation eats up your salary. 2014, 15, and 16, it would have eaten up your salary one particular way. 17, 18, 19, inflation may have increased. So for 20, 21, 22, 1, 23, 24, 25. So how will they be able to justify starting negotiations at 10% for each negotiating period? That is one. Two, how could PSA get a 10% increase in salaries for public officers when they haven't sat down in front of the CPO? The last time I checked, our matter is still before the special tribunal. The period is 14, 15, 16. And because it is in front of the special tribunal, 2 more years were added on it to make it a 5-year period. So it's 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. If that is not before the CPO, how can negotiations start? And when it comes out of the special tribunal and it goes before the CPO, the period cannot be more than 5 years and less than 3 years. So it could be a negotiating period for 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years. The two periods I'm always lumping together, that is 6 years. The CPO don't negotiate for no 6 years, either 5 years, 4 years, or 3 years. That's another thing. What I know, I don't know if that changed. The wage proposal that was before the CPO that it took to special tribunal was only for 14, 15, 16. I am not aware that the PSA did any wage proposal, no document for the period 17, 18, 19. Nor did they do any proposal to go before the CPO for the period 20, 20, 21, 22, and so on and so on. So what exactly is this labor officer speaking about? What will be the starting point at the negotiation? As I say already, it will be 10%. Felicia Thomas still have to tell us which year she's going to sit down and negotiate. I am telling you it could only be for the period 2014, 2015, 2016. Because as far as I know, they never put no negotiation. You have to have a document to go before the CPO for a 3-year period or a 4-year or a 5-year period in order to start to negotiate. I don't know when they did a proposal for the period 2017, 18, 19. I know it's the one that Mr. Jofield, all of them did work on for the period 14, 15, 16. So again, I'm asking Ms. Gomez, with the greatest of respect, what is she talking about? What 10% increase in salary is she talking about? It was never a 10% increase. It was a 10% starting point of negotiation. And when you're negotiating, it could go up or it could go down. So there's no 10% increase in anything. Tell the people the truth now. For once, I'll tell the people the truth now. Let people know public officers get the yellow bamboo drum straight up from 2013 to now we're in 2025. We ain't get an increase yet. And if all you want to say the PNM was there and the PNM do nothing, listen to me for the period 14, 15, 16. Watson Duke was offered a percentage settlement for public officers for the period 2014, 15, 16. He refused to tell public officers, to tell general counsel, to tell anybody what that increase was. He kept it to himself because he was all up into politics with Felicia at his side and Leroy at his side. And we see today Leroy Batiste is the Minister of Labour. They weren't interested in treating with the matter because they didn't want the government to look good. So let me continue. So when I want to talk, the PNM, then the PNM settled. Watson Solomon Duke never tell workers what the percentage was. You could have been to this day on 2017 salaries. Or if they were very proactive, you could have been right up with our negotiation. But Duke was in politics. He wanted to be a politician. He wanted to be an employer and employee at the same time. And that is a conflict of interest because you can't be the employer and the employees coming to you to negotiate on their behalf. It makes no sense. But Leroy Batiste is Minister of Labour today. Let me continue. So I'm seeing Mr. Abdullah is saying, this was in the Guardian yesterday, 2026 budget will set government's course. Movement for Social Justice, MSJ political leader David Abdullah said the upcoming national budget, the first to be presented by the new United National Congress, they knew, is consequential, serving as a pivotal test of the government's ability to navigate a precarious financial landscape and deliver on key campaign promises. Speaking on CNC3 Morning Brew program yesterday, Abdullah noted the administration inherited a difficult economic situation, once that was highlighted during the 2025 general election campaign and has since been publicly acknowledged. The situation with Forex is a problem. The issue of employment arrangement, given the fact that CPEP was virtually shut down, URP has been virtually closed down, the reforestation programs closed down, and so on. The people want to know what plans are there for the government to restructure because they claim they would restructure, Abdullah said. I really don't know more because I ain't seen Mr. Abdullah and all of them out there talking on behalf of the CPEP workers and all workers. A PNM government could have never sent home 10,500 CPEP workers. They could have never sent home reforestation workers. They could have never sent home URP workers. They could have never be sent home contract workers from the public service like that. And Abdullah and them stay quiet. But all them skirting around and talking easy and talking nice, all is a set of deceitful set of BITCHES. I say so. All they have no mouth when coming up as a in office. All they just take what God gave all and put it up so and tie it up so that when you look in the front, it have a V. Yes, I said it. So let me continue. So I'm seeing that always get emasculated. Camera person be said so does emasculate all it. A police constable charged after drug exhibit found replaced with red bricks and styrofoam. A police constable has been granted $250,000 bail after he was charged with misbehavior in public office following the alleged larceny and tampering of court exhibit at the Batarian police station. Police Constable Curdell Bernard Castillo appeared before Magistrate Ida Mohammed at the Port of Spain Criminal Court on Monday, October 6, 2025, where he was granted bail with surety. As part of his bail condition, Castillo must reside at his current address unless granted formal approval to change it and must surrender his passport to the Register of the High Court. Well, sir, you're innocent until proven guilty, but what a pickle you get yourself in, man, you don't know more. You get yourself in a whole pickle. In these times, I don't know. So I am seeing here, this is a lady who writes nothing good about the PNM. Or no, yeah, she tends to lean, in my opinion, on the UNC side. Never nothing good about the PNM. This is a person named Sudat Lawi. I saw she wrote something and it was interesting. I said, okay. Out of the mouth of some people, as bad as it is, wherever it is, sometimes certain things that I say they could get something from it. Yeah, it's like fruits will fall on the ground and rotten. If you're walking on the ground, you might get one or two that the bird they pick here, that the worms didn't get here, whatever, and it could still, yeah, because sometimes they are amongst the rotten ones and whatever, but you might get one or two. Yeah. I never really realized how dunce UNC sycophants are until the UNC got into office. At least PNM supporters have the presence of mind to call out their leaders when they step out of line. But the UNC is really a dunce cult. I was very careful with how I spelled the last word, as I know they are waiting for me to misstep. So here's the thing. The dunce UNC is out there trying to justify the cabinet reshuffle as a necessary evil because they have no shame. But the fact is, if you have to reassign responsibilities 6 months into their roles, they are not suitable for those roles in the first place, which means, one, Kamala lied to the nation. She did not align resumes with roles to ascertain job skills fit. It seems the strongest skill set is deception. Kamala is a liar. That is very clear now. Two, Kamala does not trust all of her ministers, and as a result of which only herself, Barry Padat, and Saddam Hussein are now holding the critical responsibilities, neither of which are qualified or experienced to do so. And a leader who does not trust her own team cannot be a leader that is trusted. Three, almost 100 days in office and none of her election promises were fulfilled. Kamala lied to this nation simply to be elected, and now the only people who are winning are those she has appointed to office. She says, no one else! Exclamation mark. Four, we are well into October and her Minister of Finance cannot produce a budget even though he says it's ready. Why? Simply because she knows that there will be public outrage when it is confirmed that nothing they promised the people can be delivered. In fact, they will have to revert to the PNM's plans, which they will then relabel as new and improved. But we will all know they are still PNM initiatives. 5, Kamala has to be mentally unstable if she thinks that after encouraging the US to take unconstitutional actions against Venezuelan boats without due process, Maduro and his regime would welcome dialogue with them. Kamala herself said that Rubio promised them the OFAC license, when in truth and fact, he can do no such thing. Only the US Treasury can issue those. Did Kamala government even apply for the license? 6, are you seriously celebrating OFAC license for Venezuelan oil? Dragon gas field is 100% Venezuelan owned. Again, Kamala doesn't appear to be right in her head. Kamala Prasad-Bissessar comes across as a mad little old lady who is grasping at the last straws of relevance. She has her own cabinet ministers interviewing her so that she could control the narrative. She was pretending to sign a document at the airport to appear busy. She claimed she was suffering from jet lag, but she traveled within the same time zone. Does that sound sane? This incarnation of the UNC is far worse than that of 2010. They will be the collapse of this nation. So said Susan Lowy, and that is an opinion. Me getting in that, them just twist them out. Here, there, and everywhere, so I just read it. I am saying, could this be one of the things Ms. Lowy is speaking about? HDC to discontinue subsidiaries by November. This was in The Guardian today. It says the Housing Development Corporation, HDC, will discontinue its 2 subsidiaries, Facilities Estate Management Company Limited, FEM, COL, and Asset Management Company Limited, AMC, effective November the 1st. HDC Chairman Farouz Khan confirmed that the move to bring the subsidiaries function back under the main corporation stemmed from a failed structural experiment. Workers told Guardian Media that HDC Managing Director Giselle McFarlane met with staff yesterday to officially communicate the closure timeline. FEMCOL employees were addressed via Zoom, while AMC staff attended an in-person briefing. McFarlane said the decision was made by the board of directors to streamline operations, improve efficiency, and ensure that HGC maintains sufficient revenue to meet that obligation. The objective is to eliminate unnecessary arrears and enforce stronger accountability across all departments, ensuring due process in financial and administrative matters, she explained. When pressed about the transition, McFarlane noted she was not directly involved in the restructuring, which is being managed by the Deputy Managing Director and the board. She could not confirm which employees from FEMCOL and AMC would be retained or absorbed into HGC. I really don't know. It seemed that more people went on the breadline. And then I just call that lady name, some McFarlane, Giselle McFarlane on some board. She on 2 boards. I just asked her, Papa, you. Papa laps. I am seeing something here written by a Daryl Danish Budan. And it speaks of due process is back in fashion. Prime Minister Kamala Persaud-Bissessar has made a stunning rediscovery. It appears persons are deemed innocent until proven guilty. Yet due process is back in due process is back in fashion. It seems just like yesterday, the Prime Minister was shouting, "Kill them all violently," as US drone strike committed extrajudicial killings after extrajudicial killing of suspected drug traffickers in the Caribbean seas. Of course, with the exception of Sean Sobers, none of those lifeless men with soulless eyes was sitting in the Prime Minister's cabinet. So she could afford to shrug her shoulders when asked about annoying things like evidence of the rule of law. But nothing else revived lost faith in due process, like the cool breeze of October and your deputy political leader and Minister of Housing being arrested on charges of fraud. In a statement about today's arrest of Minister David Lee, the Prime Minister gravely informed the nation that Lee has been acquitted of these allegations before, which is adorable, really, because that's not true. Lee was never acquitted. The charges were tossed on a technicality, but in Law and Order, UNC Special Victims Unit, a procedural fumble now counts as divisive forgiveness, as divine forgiveness. What's so interesting is that what Kamala didn't say, there was no mention of ethics, no suggestion that Lee should step aside while the matter plays out, no reaffirmation of integrity in public life, nothing. Just a neat story line about confidence in the courts. It's the political equivalence of saying thoughts and prayers at a crime scene. And then there's the letterhead. She didn't issue the statement as political leader of the UNC. She issued it as Prime Minister, meaning the government of Trinidad and Tobago officially stands in solidarity with a man accused of defrauding the state. One suspects the Prime Minister now has enough material to open a new brand ministry of irony. Still, it's heartwarming to see Kamala rediscovered passion for the rule of law, now that the rule of law is knocking on her cabinet. Maybe next week she'll rediscover transparency or perhaps even accountability. At this point, the UNC might as well start a due process club, a members-only society for ministers under investigation. Benefits include 1 free pre-action protocol letter with every 2 you purchase, a lifetime supply of press statements written by Kirk Mayhew, and a loyalty card for a free coffee every time the DPP spoils your morning coffee by putting you in cuffs. Because when your government keeps finding itself in court, you can either clean house or just move in and be done with it. Everybody is a prophetic writer. I seem to love his writings also, just as Mr. Michael Lihani and Mr. Lennox Chanchoy. I think I could say the writing. So let me tell you this piece of thing on it. I am hearing that I'm trying to wrap my head around this. Is either 600 million? I think it's $600 million has been. Wait, I want to listen. I'm not too sure, right? So I'm saying this. 600 million has already been depleted or something from somewhere, which sending a signal, excuse me, that we in for some time. I will not be surprised if I see the IMF walking in. But I have an opinion in which I'm stating, is it that the UNC waiting to see what happens with Venezuela? And if whatever they think is going to happen in Venezuela, if it happens, they think they're going to get the Venezuelan oil, the Venezuelan gas, and we go easy breezy because I rail gas. And if it don't work out so, then they go have no choice but to run to the IMF and just asking a question. But I'm also saying this too. How comfortable would the citizens and Trinidad and Tobago be? God forbid something happened to Mr. Maduro and they put somebody else and all kind of thing, that we benefit from that and we get in the gas. You know how the world going to be watching me? All they ready for that? All they ready for that? And America go on up the way, how much miles away from here? All they ready for that? For getting people thing with all they not entitled to, by people going and take the people thing and giving all it. That is just like a spranger going and thief people thing and selling you cheap. The same way as like with a spranger for going and take the people gas tank and then selling it to you for $20 to buy 20 ball. All they should be feeling the same way too. That is kind of the simplest analogy I could have. Simplest analogy. Somebody go and thief people thing and come in to sell you it. Are they comfortable with that? Okay. All right. So I'm seeing that the Court of Appeal, today, let me just say today, any Newsday, reduces EMBD $1 million payout to contractors. All you remember that whole bacchanal with EMBD? It have all the text messages there. It ain't no way nobody could say it's not them. All the interaction between the Urpooch pussycat, the Urpooch lion, or between a certain, oh God, no, director, don't, no, oh God. It's not me, I didn't do that. Right. Between the minister of HGC at that time and some contractors and back and forth and backs and forth and backs and forth. And that when all them thing went before, I think Justice Aboud, I think it was, where he said, a paraphrasing, I can't remember exactly, but something to the effect that this is a cartel-like in the way how contract was given. And there's a case to answer. They went to Privy Council and all agreed there's something to answer. And then it went before Frank Sipa said the honorable, hey, his face does look real pat and nice. I want to know where he'll be putting something in his face. I want to know what he's using so I could use it on my face. His face does look real pat and real, like he don't sweat at all. Anyhow, I digress. So as I was saying, it went before Frank Sipa said the honorable, and he gave the man from HGC and others time to make up their defense. And time extending. But the contractors wanted the government basically to pay them one set of money for what they didn't do. Well, before Justice Rahim, I think that's his name, eh? Yeah, Justice Rahim, he would have, let me read it. The Court of Appeal has largely upheld a judge finding in a long-running dispute between the Estate Management and Business Development Company Limited, EMBD, and Amalco Construction Services Limited, which was ordered to pay over $427 million in unpaid fees to the mega contractor from Labre, excuse me, for infrastructure work it performed on 4 residential communities for former Caroni 1975 Limited. In the appeal, both companies challenged the findings of then High Court Judge Ricky Rahim, now an appeal court judge. Justice Peter Rajkumar, Ronnie Budu Singh, and Geoffrey Henderson varied the High Court's ruling, instead ordering that EMBD to pay Namalco $121 million for infrastructure work at the 4 housing project. The state entity also successfully reclaimed $48.5 million in overpayments in Namalco. How we hear about that? Listen to this again. Namalco and them, like they don't want EMBD, which is taxpayers' money. government, you know, the state, corporate and so on, whatever it's called. They wanted the EMBD to pay them, let me get the amount, $427 million for work they said them do, and they didn't get paid. But this thing went back and forth, and the court has now said all EMBD is to pay them is $121 million, not no $427 million. We're going to get money we save. And it also says that that EMBD was able, just now, wait, let me get it here. EMBD was able to successfully reclaim $48.5 million in overpayment in Namalco. So while EMBD have to pay $121 million to Namalco for works they do, Namalco wanted $427 million, they didn't get that at all. And on top of that, EMBD was able to reclaim. Let me find it again. $48.5 million in overpayments to Namalco. How we in here nothing about that? Let me continue. This thing's something interesting. In 2022, Rahim ordered the EMBD to pay Namalco more than $428 million for works done at Cedar Hill, Rup Singh Road, Pittimon, and Picton Monkey Town on lands once managed by Caroni 1975 Limited. Rahim, however, voided several supplemental contracts after finding they were procured through an unlawful means conspiracy. Namalco had originally claimed in 2016 more than $1.3 billion as certain EMBD had failed to pay for completed infrastructure work. EMBD countered that some contracts signed by then Chief Executive Officer Balak Singh were invalid because he lacked the authority to approve agreements over $1 million without a public tender. Rajkumar delivered a main judgment, agreed that Singh acted beyond his authority and in breach of fiduciary duties. He ruled that Namalco knew or ought to have known that Singh could not unilaterally sign off on a multi-million-dollar supplemental agreement, the SA, which inflated project cost by roughly $314 million. As a result, the appellate court affirmed that the supplemental agreements were void and recalculated the company's liability using the original contract rates. The court ordered EMBD to pay Namalco $121,990,343.66. Well, I know they mightn't get the cents, so it might be 65 cents. We don't deal with cents again. For certified works at Rup Singh Road, while Namalco must repay $48,519,231.25. As sure we get in it because we don't deal with 25 cents. For overpayment under the Pittimon project interest of 2% per year will accrue when from May 6, 2016 until final payment. Oh God, I really don't know. All I can tell you. The court ordered in that same case that it was shown that something to answer. It was contract, like a cartel giving out contract. The former minister, HGC, implicated in that. He still had to prove innocent, me and say guilty. But the thing is, the money Namalco was looking to get from EMBD, they didn't get that money at all. They get less money and them had to pay back money. Things looking interesting. Why is that happening? I want Ole to tell me why it is the Prime Minister put back under the AG office. I sent in this picture for director to cut and put it up. I forget what's the senator she. Look at this man's face. Look at this man's face. A face that only a mother could love. Look at this man's face. I sent it to you. I want Oli to pay it up. It just looks evil. That's just my opinion. It just looks, it looks evil. Director sending me something here. I hope you're right there to put it up. While I'm reading the story, you can more and put it up, right? Once you're there. You know, you like to knock out. Right. Let me go back to the story. Let me go back to the story. Give me a minute. Let me find back which part I was. Oh, they think it easy. Why it is the opposition leader, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago put back this department under the AG office. Director way I wanted to put up the man's face. He ain't looking like he happy at all. He's looking very unhappy. So 2 days ago, ACIB returns to AG office. A brief gazetted erratum issued on Sunday, October the 5th. Yes, let me put it up there. Let me put him up. Let me put it up. Look at that. Oh, Jesus. Hey! A jump, yes? A real jump. Jesus. Whew. Let me start again. A brief gazette erratum issued on Sunday, October the 5th by the government printery was the first the public heard of the return of the Anti-Corruption Investigation Bureau, ACIB, to the Office of the Attorney General. The notice was easy to miss given the state of ministerial portfolios shift unveils a day prior. But the more significance should escape no one. The ACIB has long been a hot potato. The entity has, people still say that, the entity has its genesis in the Special Investigation Unit, which was established in 1997 as a subdivision of the Police Criminal Investigation Department to probe corruption amongst justice of the peace. Hey, that remit was widened with the ACIB taking on public officers and government officials. You hear what I just said? It was the ACIB advised by Carl Hudson Phillip that handled the ill-fated Integrity Commission filings probe into Baze Pandey in 2002. More recently, this same unit was behind actions against former Attorney General Anna Logan and former UNC Senator Joy Ramdeen, who is now the CEO of NETCO, the same NETCO that pulled sponsorship from Tree Steel Band and pulled sponsorship from Track and Field. I asked that question, is it because those are things that people largely of African descent take part in? I just asked him. Which part I reach? I take my eye off the thing, right? UNC Senator Joy Ramdeen in 2019 in a case that was eventually dropped amidst much intrigue surrounding the chief witness and the procurement of purported indemnity under the PNM. The Dr. Rowley administration surrendered responsibility for the ACIB to the police administration in 2019 after years of UNC and others, including a newspaper calling for the Bureau to be removed from political oversight. Kamala Prasad-Bissessa's first administration had raised the possibility of such a shift, but she had not implemented it at the time, and she left office in 2015. By strange serendipity, listen, I'm going to spell it, I'm not in that mood today. SERENDIPITY, work it out. The Bureau returns to a ministry headed once again by John Jeremy, a former PNM AG and a key figure in the Pandey matter, as well as the PIACO ACIB probes. Interestingly, the move also comes on a global surge of radical right-wing politics and define itself around grievance, culture, war, and retribution in law courts. The unit is operationally independent, but some will see the transfer as increasing the risk of partisanship in the justice system, while others will welcome increased oversight given the entity unhappy history. Mr. Jeremy has, in his fresh UNC incarnation, ominously told the PNM, watch yourself. Let me see if I find that video. Director, we have a video we say I'm coming for you, you and you. We have that? Let me see. I think it is. We have that where you say I'm coming for you, I'm coming for you, I'm coming for you. Oh, like we have it now. But he stand up in Parliament and he point at the PNM side and he let them know coming for you, and I'm coming for you. It is alleged. Remove him. Hold on, I can't take that face. I remember David, yeah, I can't take David Lee's face. Had to be 3 people. It can't be 2 people. 2 people. 1 person can't be so. No, only remember, I tell all you. I might be laughing and thinking like serious, like very serious. The Honorable AG indicated that he's coming for PNM ministers or MPs. He said that in Parliament and he pointed them, I'm coming for you, and that is a threat in my opinion. And now you put this investigative thing under his purview that does deal with integrity in public life and corruption and all that. Okay. Well, you sit down quiet all the time and don't say nothing. And say it's not me. We have a whole poem about that, you know. Have a whole poem about that. So listen to what give me a minute. Give me 1 minute. Listen to what this person wrote, and it's somebody that I listen to his, in fact, I respect his writings. This is what he would have said. This is from one Mr. Keith Sabero. This is what he says. So you understand now the reasons for the cabinet changes and the fast of today's Express lead story. 1, it is now obvious that the Prime Minister was aware well in advance of David Lee's impending arrest, so she created the ruse, the cabinet reshuffle, bringing the housing portfolio with facile reasoning under the office of the PM. Although the housing portfolio has 3 ministers, Lee, Anil, and Philip Alexander. 2, on a later thought, in the Gazette, she extracted the Police Anti-Corruption Investigation Bureau from under the Police Commissioner, placing it under the AG Jeremy office, raising the question that now there will be no police investigation, arrest, or any other cabinet ministers and the UNC officials. The next conviction most likely will have been Anil. And there are also Rural Muniland, 345 million EMBD matter, and Anna Ram Logan and Joy Ramdale civil matter. So Anil's arrest, Munilal, and those other matters will now most likely never be investigated further with the AG now in charge. Instead, you will see in the coming months the Anti-Corruption Bureau going first after Stuart Young on some kind of trumped up charges because AG Jeremy has the personal score to settle with him. Then on the other PNM officials, in 2019, the Anti-Corruption Bureau was removed from under the AG office where it was placed during just a moment. Where it was placed. What do you think? What do you think? Hey. During the Pandis administration by then AG Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj. But in 2019, DPP Roger Gaspar, with support from Transparency International, argued that the Bureau lodged in the AG office could have led or raised suspicions of political interference. Both Stuart Young as National Security Minister and Gary Griffith as Police Commissioner agreed to the change. So has the Prime Minister now weaponized AG Jeremy office, giving him his personal mongoose gang? He has already told PNM members of his intention to come after them in the US Donald Trump stranglehold of Attorney General office. Seems to have provided Kamala's UNC with a perfect playbook of step-by-step procedures on how to deal with opposition and other opponents. Boy, right now, I miss my Monday column. So that is the opinion of one of our eminent writers, journalists, Keith Sabino. And you hear he's saying, I don't know how true, that A.G. Jeremy have a personal, from what I read, it seems to be a personal thing with Stuart Pritchard Young. I wonder what personal thing it could be. Let me tell you something, eh? I'm not talking about this, I just talking in general. The only thing I could think about with a next man, with a person, with a next man, it had to be with a girl. Let me talk the thing now. I thinking about it and I'm saying, for a man to only have a personal, based on what I'm reading here, with a next man, it had to be some girl. So I said, that is what it's about. That's what it is about. But anyway, last time it had a man who his girl was on a bed and a man all up between the forest and part the forest and looked the inside and she called he and he called she and all that. All you know how that thing went. So the power of the who? What I have to get to go in Ministry of Education and tell all you about. But that's not CAT, right? That is CAT. It might be CYAT. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Or let's just sit down there and feel this thing is a joke and say, you can see how things go. You know what it is. Or let's sit down there with that. I see it now. And next person that send just so on holiday and bringing our next one just so. I don't know what's going on with protective services and them. So we seen Captain Don Polo named new chief in defense staff. Ever see his face, Papa? He's sweet looking. Hey, the face looking smooth. Hey, Papa, the nose straight, the glasses sit down, it's a thing sliding down like my own at all. Captain Don Polo has been appointed as the new chief of defense staff of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. According to a release from the Ministry of Defense, the appointment took effect on October 7, 2025, following consultation between Defense Minister Wayne Sturge and Prime Minister Kamala St under the Section 191 of Defense Act. President Christine Kala Kangulu, ORTT, acting as commander of the armed forces, confirmed the appointment on the advice of the minister. On the same day, Minister Sturge also advised the president to revoke the appointment of Air Vice Marshal Daryl Daniel, who served a record 8 years as Chief of Staff of Defense Staff. The ministry thanked Daniel for his long service, noting that the leadership change came after lengthy deliberation and mature consideration and would not affect the operation strength of the Defense Force. I understand there's a whole protocol in doing them changes. I don't know if it happened, but there's a whole protocol. I don't think it's just you tell he and he tells she and that's how it's done. I hear a whole back and all start to go on first. But they put in people, in my opinion, in the place that tell you if they see face. Director, we didn't put a picture. Director, let me send you a picture of the man. Oh God. Come now, man. Let me send you a picture of this man. You could cut it how you want. You put it up, let us see his face. Papa. Hey! I want to know what I'm putting on the face. I want to use it too. Them face looking smooth. Them men looking like them face went to sun and all kind of thing, Papa. Let me send it here. Director, cut it there quick and put it up let people see. Where's his name? Captain Don Polo, Papa. Let me continue, eh? I'm seeing here also. I'm seeing here. Well, we all know by now that David Lee has been rearrested here in Poi, P-O-I, Poi, whoever, the man, the next man, with the whole thing with the car and the license, the exemption and all that. He has been rearrested. Again, I hear the man gets so ill, like he's dizzy, I'm not sure. Or is that getting the story thing up with Juke when he again lock up and they say he saw himself and wait, I'm mixing up the two stories, I guess. Anyway, but I know it ended up in who went to hospital and spend the time there in hospital and whatever. Now he's on bail, an next $1 million or something. So like he had millions to just put out there. So this case has never been over. There was some technicality, it was put aside. Now they fix everything. He back there, he and Poi, whoever to deal with that case, right? So is it he will be used, asking a question by the UNC as the sacrificial lamb to show, look, somebody get locked up. But they make sure, asking a question, that they put the corruption unit under the AG, where it will be very partisan and very political if he over all them cases instead of the police. I just asking you. You're free to ask questions, right? Me ain't alleging nothing. Me ain't saying it is true. It ain't true, just asking. Because this thing looking, and then when they hear who have grudge against who, and anyway, look at Polo. Look at Polo. Tell me Polo ain't looking sweet. Watch Polo now. Polo like he shave the mustache and all. You ain't see wrong him all looking like hair missing from it. Polo, you were easy. With the little caramel color. Hey, and you know straight in your tech. Hello, Mr. Polo. Congratulations, Mr. Polo. Congratulations. Let me take it on. I am seeing that MP Stuart would have also written something. Let me tell you. This was today. In 2016, a contractor launched a claim against EMBD for approximately 1.3 million. This claim was made for works allegedly awarded and done under the UNC government. The PNM administration fought this claim and retained international experts and a team of competent lawyers to dissect the claim being made and to fight it in the courts. EMBD argued that work was not done and that the value of what was actually done was not what was claimed and signed off on under the UNC. This part of the EMBD litigation that the UNC government wants to go out. This is the part of the EMBD litigation that the UNC government wants to go away. In 2022, a High Court judge ordered that EMBD was liable for approximately $427 million of the $1.3 billion claim. This was appealed by the contractor and we crossed appeal. On October 7, 2025, the Court of Appeal upheld the judge findings of conspiracy to injure and unlawfully unlawful means conspiracy and reduced the amount to be paid by EMBD to the contractor to $121 million and further order that the contractor repay $48.5 million EMBD. Now, although I read it already, I read it from a lawyer who is actively involved and around that, right? So the language will be a little different. This means that our action as the PNM government led to savings of approximately $1.2 billion. Please take careful note that if UNC had won the 2015 election, the contractor would have been paid the $1.2 billion for nothing, as the Court of Appeal has held that was not the value of the work done. Citizens must continue to keep their eyes on the related EMBD cartel claims, which are before the court, and ensure that the UNC government does not frustrate EMBD's pursuit of these matters or discontinue the matters where claims are being made against contractors and a sitting government minister. These matters were very carefully prepared with international experts and lawyers as part of our fight against white-collar crime. Stay alert, Trinidad and Tobago, in continued service. Stuart R. Young, SC, MP, October 8, 2025. P.S. I have asked several times about the Beaton wastewater arbitration. That was the outcome. And I have asked several times about the Beaton wastewater arbitration and what was the outcome. Neither NGC nor the government has told the population that NGC won the matter against SIS and that the arbitrator ordered that SIS pay over $350 million back to NGC. Why the silence? Well, look who they in NGC now. Who is the CEO? What do you think it's so? So let me continue, people. Let me continue. Let me continue. So before, let me see if she put it. So before, let me see. If you were saying anything.
Criminal wrongdoing is alleged. I don't
Yes.
mind you looking at me. I'm happy. But when you look at the political leader and Prime Minister of the United National Congress, her grandmother, who has served this country for however long, never had one standard raised against her, I will go to war with you. 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 My friends down the road there, you okay? The point is that this is something that needs to be investigated, and it will be investigated with every fiber of my being.
If your fiber had being, or your being had fiber, he might not have a problem with he. If your fiber had being, or your being had fiber, you may not have been in the position in where you're total. Overall, excuse me. Let me tell you something. I already know that. So I'm seeing here that when all this bacchanal with when the last time they did lock up David Lee, he had some harsh words for Larry LSC. This is what he did say. United National Congress UNC Deputy Political Leader David Lee says he has been persecuted by the People's National Movement PNM for the past 3 years since being charged with 2 criminal offenses. And now that the matter has been discharged, by Acting Chief Magistrate Christine Charles, who upheld that no case submission made by his attorney yesterday, Lee said he was thankful to God that his family and all who supported him. This was the 9th of April 2025. In an interview with the Express before his walkabout in Prisal in Caroni Central, which he's contesting for the general election yesterday, Lee said he was thankful for the UNC political leader Kamla Persad-Sessa, former Coover South MP Rujanat Indarsing. He's now a member, he's a judge in the industrial court. The man who fired a woman on a Sunday, and the woman when she case industrial court, the judge said that he was harsh and oppressive because she went to a PNM pre-meeting for a councillor. Yes. Former South MP Rujanat Indarsing and others who remain loyal and believed he was innocent. I want to thank Kamla Persad-Sessa, who stood at my side for the last 3 years. I know that she would have been under tremendous pressure, showing me that love and support and loyalty. She knew when she reviewed my matter, I was innocent. I said that since the day once I was innocent in this matter. The political victimization in this PNM administration is alive and well, and I am proof of that. So I thank God today that the ruling of the acting chief magistrate was in my favor. I want to give thanks to the judiciary system. It was working, he said. Lord, just so we see about Larry Lala. Speaking on a PNM platform at Exeter Spaniard in Tanapuna on Saturday, Lala said, but Kamala seriously expects to run the country with these individuals involved in a party. I'm talking about individuals like David Lee, who has been charged with perhaps the most serious offenses of members of parliament can be charged with: misbehaving in public office and conspiracy to defraud. Why? Because he allegedly used his vehicle privilege to buy MP, by which MPs are allowed to import cars tax-free to bring Mercedes G-Wagons, perhaps the most expensive Mercedes one can buy, not for himself, but for another person. He therefore allegedly used his parliamentary benefits to defraud you, the taxpayer. Imagine a man charged for that while in opposition. What will happen if, God forbid, he finds himself in government? And that was the kind of man that Kamala had as the UNC chief for years. And now she removed him from his point of here, Claxton Bay, a marginal seat, and put him in a safe seat in Carolina. Right? So that is what Larry Lala had said before the election. A few minutes later, because David Lee was so grateful to the prime minister, well, to the opposition leader at the time, Ting. He said it was a PNM conspiracy. Now come Commissioner of Police Alyssa Guevara has disclosed that he received judicial warrants around 12:15 p.m. today for the arrest of Minister of Housing and Caroni Central MP David Lee and Hugh Leon Poi, proprietors of Sport Outlet Limited. The warrants were filed by the Office of the Director of the Public Prosecution DPP under Section 23(5) of the Indictable Offences Preliminary Inquiry Act, Chapter 1201. Both men were immediately taken into custody and were currently undergoing standard processing procedure. The arrest follows a High Court review of a magistrate's decision earlier this year. In April, Acting Chief Magistrate Christine Charles had freed Lee and Leon Poi on upholding no case submission from their attorneys and ruling that there was insufficient evidence to commit them to trial. However, DPP Roger Gaspar said then that his office had initiated a review by a High Court judge to determine whether sufficient evidence exists to warrant trial. This application would require a judge to review the magistrate's decision and to issue a warrant. If the judge disagrees with that decision, the process does not involve charges being relayed, Gaspar explained. Should a High Court judge find the evidence sufficient, both men would be rearrested and brought directly before the High Court to face trial. Lee and Leon Poi, were initially charged September 2020, and it goes on and on. So I want to ask Mr. David Lee, if it's still PNM victimization or PNM hounding him because it's the UNC in office, I don't get it. So people, listen to what people from other countries are saying about us. This Kamala Persad-Bissessa's government. This came from Jamaica's Gleaner.com. Editorial reject Trump's approach. Hopefully, no other Caribbean leader will follow Kamala Persad-Bissessa's embarrassing and highly spirited cheering on the United States for its extrajudicial killing last week of 11 alleged drug traffickers in international waters near Venezuela. Their boat was simply blown up either by a drone or missile, believed to have been fired from one of the U.S. Navy destroyers. President Donald Trump dispatched to the Southern Caribbean in his supposed war on the narco traffickers. Many people, however, fear that America's real purpose is to set the stage for military intervention in Venezuela to overthrow President Nicolas Maduro. Despite Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister's declaration that the U.S. military should kill them all violently, referring to drug smugglers, Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessa, Jamaican's counterpart Andrew Holness, should clarify that the U.S.-style action wasn't what he had in mind in statements earlier this year that criminal gangs and their activities should be treated as terrorism. For while support for American action, in which the accused, who Washington said were members of the Venezuelan gang Tren Zerua, may appear to burnish a leader's tough on crime credentials, it undermines the rule of law, weakens democratic governance, and is a threat to anyone, everywhere, including potentially innocent Jamaicans who may be sailing the high seas. Or the victims could be someone walking or driving along Cushwood Boulevard in the Jamaican capital, targeted with a precision strike because the Americans declare that person is a narco trafficker. So the region's attitude to President Maduro and Venezuela, notwithstanding thoughtful Caribbean governance, should, even if Prime Minister Passadicesa continues to demur, make clear their disagreement with how the United States has chosen to prosecute its war on drugs in our backyard, well as warn Washington against a Bay of token-style incident as justification for a U.S. assault on Venezuela that would destabilize the Caribbean. Washington and Caracas have been at odds since the leftist army Colonel, the late Hugo Chavez, came to power in Venezuela in 1999 and used his country's oil wealth to help shore up other leftist governments, as well as small island states in Latin America and the Caribbean. Chavez died in 2013. The tense relations between the two countries worsened in 2019 when Maduro, Chavez's successor, was sworn in for his second term as president after a disputed election. Things have soured even more since Mr. Trump returned to the US presidency in January. He abandoned all efforts by the Biden administration at rapprochement with Venezuela, doubled to US $50 million. The bounty on Mr. Maduro's head as a drug trafficker, and declared 2 Venezuelan gangs, which the Americans say has ties to Maduro's government, as international terrorist organizations. And it goes on, but I'm telling you, people are speaking out and basically saying the rest of the Caribbean, just as Kamala Passadicesa, Trinidad and Tobago, because she's not talking by herself, has spoken in favor of the US and saying kill all of them violently and that kind of tough talk. The other Caribbean leaders also and CARICOM needs to come out and let people know what is their view. Do they agree with what Trinidad and Tobago is saying? Do they disagree? Do they still maintain that the Caribbean is a zone of peace? Or are they, like Kamala Passadicesa, saying this is no zone of peace? They need to come out and speak. I would like to hear Ms. Maya Motley, MP for Barbados, Mr. Holness of Jamaica, Dr. Al Gonzalez of St. Vincent, Grenadines, and all the other, Mr. Dixon, Prime Minister of Grenada, and all others, come out and say something. Your voices, all the collective voices need to be heard. This has serious implications, not just for Trinidad and Tobago, but for the Caribbean as a whole. America do not have a good history. When it comes to these things, it does not end well, and then the countries are left devastated. The history is there to show. Nobody making of that. The countries are left now to fend on their own in a state of disrepair, a state of infrastructures collapse, buildings collapse, economy collapse, everything. We have seen it. We have seen the countries that they went to say they're going to help. History have it, not me say so. So now I'm asking, is it that Kamala Passadicesa and the UNC is banking on some kind of change happening swiftly in Venezuela that will make whoever go there, now they could apply for OFAC license because they didn't get the license yet, for OFAC license and start to drill Venezuela oil. Is that what it is? That is why they only getting on and saying all them things to show America, we support all the So I'm saying the best laid plans, and when you're digging pit, know how you're digging pit for people. Okay, let me continue. So I saw this. Listen to this.
While the Trump administration had been mass deporting Venezuelans for months since he took office, let's examine why we, the United States, are the reason they are trying to emigrate here in the first place. In 2005, Venezuela started selling cheap oil to poor Caribbean countries like Cuba, Haiti, and Nicaragua, either on credit or in exchange for goods instead of cash up front, keeping energy costs low so these countries could invest more in healthcare, education, and food programs. In 2013, the Obama administration, realizing U.S. oil companies couldn't match Venezuela's generous prices, but we still wanted to dominate the market, launched the Caribbean Energy Security Initiative. And under the guise of helping them go green, we began to pressure Caribbean countries to switch to more expensive U.S. natural gas and renewable energy, something that required massive investments up front that these countries couldn't afford anyway. Now, in 2014, the State Department warned that countries dependent on Venezuelan oil could be destabilized economically and that eliminating PetroCaribe would create a serious humanitarian challenge in our near neighborhood. But that doesn't deter us, right? In 2017, before ultimately admitting we were seeking regime change, the first Trump administration began financial sanctions against Venezuela, preventing them from accessing U.S. banking and borrowing money, making it illegal for companies worldwide to buy their oil if those companies wanted to do business with the U.S. And since oil was what Venezuela's economy was mostly based on, 90% of their government revenue dried up almost overnight. We also blocked food and medicine imports, seized Citgo, a U.S.-based oil company owned by Venezuela, and froze $24 billion in their government's assets in U.S. banks. So now, since Venezuela couldn't afford to keep subsidizing oil to Cuba, Haiti, and Nicaragua, those countries had to cut social programs, leading to massive protests and emigration. 7 million people from Venezuela alone fled. 40,000 died from the medicine blockade. And until the Supreme Court stopped it, until a few months ago, we were deporting Venezuelans without trials, paying El Salvador to imprison them. To sum up, we destroyed a program keeping millions fed and housed because it threatened our profits. We knew there would be a refugee crisis, and as soon as that happened, we blamed them and used the crisis to win elections. While this follows the same playbook we used in Guatemala, El Salvador, and Nicaragua, where governments were achieving progress by using their own resources for their people, and then we destroyed them and blamed the chaos on socialism, Venezuela has had internal problems. U.S. sanctions have made everything much worse, cutting off Venezuela's ability to recover, causing people to die from lack of medicine, and forcing millions to flee here. What can we do now? We can volunteer with organizations helping asylum seekers, contact our representatives, and demand they end the economic sanctions. We could stop funding regime change there and use the money to address problems here at home. And we should demand accountability from the officials who created this border crisis that they now campaign on. Least of all, we can challenge the narrative because these are regular people just like us fleeing a problem we created.
So that gentleman would have given his perspective on what causing the real scene. Everybody talking out, it's only like in Trinidad they ain't talking out. I see again something here by Mr. Michael Edmund Dehani. He said the tornado exposed a minister. And who is the minister? Of course, the one who say he's the shadow minister for police innocent and so I just call him cutters because I told him when my MP gave him a cutters for the election, I go call him cutters. And he did get a cutters. He gave about 4,000 and something votes. 4,000 and something cutters votes. So wherever he did get it. So it says, Philip Edward Alexander response to Diego Martin's tornado reveals more about political narcissism than disaster management. A weather emergency requiring coordination, technical expertise, and quiet efficiency became another stage for ministerial theater. The facts are straightforward. A tornado struck Diego Martin West. The appropriate officials responded, the minister, the MP, the mayor, the councillor, disaster management personnel. Alexander, whose housing portfolio carries no disaster remit, inserted himself into the scene. By evening, social media hosted his extended self-defense, completed with the self-authorized slogan, Philip will fix it, and he now attributes to average, which he now attributes to average people. The attribution is a lie. Alexander coined the phrase himself during an early attempt at political superhero rebranding. Claiming popular origin for one's own marketing copy may seem minor, but it points to a deeper flaw, a minister who confuses genuine public service with personal methodology. And I will never forget when MP, at the time Minister Camille Robinson Regis, was bawling out for a colleague that she lost, who she just the day before was in her constituency with her son. They had some Christmas something or something to that effect. And on hearing her death in the file, she bawled and fall apart. That same man, that nasty that nastiness, tell you hold your belly and bow your belly. That they had no empathy for nobody. Eh? Because in a time like that, you couldn't show empathy. Whether or not you're on the same political side or not, you like the person or not. And that's all you could say to see a friend in genuine grief for another friend, a human being. And that's what you could have said. So I concur with what Mr. Dihani put here, that it says here that a minister who confuses genuine public service with personal methodology. One racial tokenism was particularly calculated. He noted that one affected resident was an elderly landlady of Afro-Trini descent. And if this single mention immunized him from criticism about class dynamics, as if this single mention immunizes him from criticism about class dynamics. This is not solidarity, it's demographic credit. It is demographic credentialing, race deployed as rhetorical armor for him rather than engaged as a part of structural analysis. Next came the politics. He claimed that the PNM has given its supporters poverty as a badge. Deserves serious scrutiny. It's unsubstantiated, inflammatory, and carries a clear insinuation that Afro-Trinidadian communities have somehow embraced the provision, while Alexander's movement represents uplift and agency. It's the very definition of a dog whistle disguised as social critique. We are now no stranger to this pattern, or we are now no stranger to this pattern after he publicly suggested that India should consider nuclear action against Venezuela. The Prime Minister had to instruct him to stay in your lane. That incident should have inspired reflection about the limits of ministerial conduct. Instead, the Diego Martin tornado became another opportunity for self-insertion. And this time, he didn't arrive alone. Witnesses reported that Alexander turned up with his own entourage, Satish Ramsaran, Pat Jaikaran Singh, and his son Joshua Hossain, all busily taking photos and videos. It looked less like a shift, or it looks less like a site visit than a campaign shot or shoot. The Bravo consequence was textbook. Deny the grandstanding, attack those who notice it, reverse victim and offender until critics become the problem. Alexander transformed legitimate questions about his presence into moral drama about hate, division, and persecution. His Facebook post leans heavily on past deeds, pulling bodies from floods, walking through sewage and Beatum, decades of community service. Even if true, they are irrelevant to the questions that matter. What policy authority did a junior housing minister have to be at the tornado site? Real disaster response requires coordination, protocol, technical assessment, resource allocation, and follow-through. It doesn't require ministers from unrelated portfolios positioning themselves for photo opportunities and subsequent social media testimonies. The residents of Diego Martin West needed roof materials, electrical restoration, structural assessment, and insurance support. What they received, in addition to legitimate assistance, was an unsolicited sermon about class welfare and political persecution. Alexander then blurred the issue further by suggesting that criticism of his actions equated to criticism of disaster victims. It doesn't. No one questions whether tornado victims deserve support. The question is whether every national crisis must now include a Philip Alexander photo shoot. Experience should have taught him that effective crisis response happens through established systems, not improvised appearances. The Prime Minister assigned portfolios for a reason, to focus expertise where it's needed. Housing policies demand technical, financial, and social competence. Managing that would be real public service. Touring disaster sites outside one's remit, while proclaiming yourself the nation fix-it man, that's something else entirely. The tornado passed through Diego Martin in minutes. Alexander performance continues days later. That tells you everything about his priorities. As it pertains to David Lee, just as she had told Jack Warner when he was the go-to man in the government, he start prime minister, all kind of thing, go and clear the name of the FIFA incident. Just the same way they were down on Mally McDonald, and they made up a lie. Certain people made up a lie on Eric Williams and Franklin Kahn, deceased Franklin Kahn, God rest his soul, and they stepped down until they were able to clear the name based on a nasty lie. Why it is David Lee is not asked to step down as the Minister of Housing until he clears his name. But again, it appears that the UNC has no such conviction when they're in office. The only time they have those type of conviction and morals and ethics is when the PNM is in office, and then they watch everything and say they should do this and shouldn't do this and all kind of thing, right? That is how the cookie crumbles with them. So I see this next one talking. I just want to hear what he's saying for a couple of minutes, and I don't want to show you the kind of individuals the UNC have in their circle, and tell me where we're really going.
And all you think that is your position, and you so love Maduro, well, all you go down that way. But the right-thinking citizens who do not like a dictator, who do not like a tyrannical narco-trafficker, will stand on the side of democracy. Politics is not about personality and who you like and who you don't like. It's about policy. So the PNM stands for narco-traffickers, and the UNC stands for legitimate elected government of Venezuela. It's very simple.
I remember this. No, I'm not saying this is individual. I just say if you remember this.
Experience. Okay, come.
One video clip shows the man who looks a lot like a current government minister seen doing some interesting things.
Throw the cigarette.
Yeah.
Pull it.
I could do that. Because it's for me to pull man, and they just roll it for them boys, all my boys. But you see me, I could drink rum whole day and night. If I take 2 quid, go on drink. Anyway, separate what we want to put back in time. No, this is what it is. But we could have take all this.
It's the English style and what it is.
Well, right, I'm the English boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dan. Oh, that's fancy thing. You play. So you're not a big smoker. They got them that bring a man to roll it nice. In a road that's over, you can smoke that bicycle. At least 20 different partners.
It's unknown who shot the video, when it was shot, and where exactly it was shot, but it appears to be in a hotel room. And in this shot, we can see a set of keys with a tag marked 201. TV6 News tried contacting the minister, believed to be in the video, but calls to his mobile phone went unanswered. The communications minister also could not be reached for comment. We then contacted their boss, Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar, and she said she would not be able to comment until she saw the video.
Okay. All right, that was TV6 News. Let me see. Watch this one.
Official. Anal Roberts would not be contesting the 2025 general elections. He made a deal with the bat for his lover, Ria Karim, daughter of Faisal Karim, to contest the Chaguanas East seat. Faisal was sacked in disgrace by Kamla and replaced by Duckfoot Mohit. How does Ria feel to know that the same UNC humiliated her father? I guess that morals and ethics has a price after all.
Papa. It have a next one, you know. It have a next one, right? That always say the only thing we see is piss running on the side of your pants. That is who is minister in the ministry house, in junior minister. Good one for the UNC. UNC have them all. UNC know how to pick them. Think it easy. All listen to this one too. Somebody put this together. I find this is as funny as hell. This is just me. Watch it here.
Yeah. These people are such a disgrace. They don't know how to run this place. Every day their position only changing. We fed up with their flip-flopping.
They just act without thinking, behaving like they in a bar drinking.
Flippity flop, you're spinning like a top, making decisions like you in a rum shop. 1 minute is down, the next minute is up. This mad behavior need to stop. Your mouth saying one thing, your actions say another. You're changing tune faster than stormy weather. You're drunk on confusion, lost in the mix. You lie so much that you're falling for your own tricks.
Your government real unsettled and it start to show. When they ask who you're supposed to say you don't know. 1 minute you with Guaido, next minute Maduro. Your policy is spinning faster than a limbo show. You're talking left today, tomorrow you turn right. Drunk on power and rum every night.
Flippity flop, you're spinning like a top, making decisions like you in a rum shop. 1 minute is down, the next minute is up. This mad behavior need to stop. Your mouth saying one thing, your actions say another. You're changing tune faster than stormy weather. You're drunk on confusion, lost in the mix. You lie so much that you're falling for your own. Just say the dragon deal was gone, now it's rising again. Begging round the islands, causing plenty strain.
You talk brave today, but tomorrow you crawl. Acting like you're strong when you have no gas at all. Playing tough outside, but behind doors you shake. Changing your story with every move you make.
Flippity flop, you're spinning like a top, making decisions like you in a rum shop. 1 minute is down, the next minute is up. This mad behavior need to stop. Your mouth saying one thing, your actions say another. You're changing tune faster than stormy weather. You're drunk on confusion, lost in the mix. You lie so much that you're falling for your own tricks. 1 minute you say kill them violently,
next minute you we stand in solidarity.
I am in support of America.
An hour later you stand with Venezuela.
Your mouth running faster than a motor car.
And every week you're changing who you are.
I don't know what's going on.
Now we in a bar.
Or must we conclude that you are bipolar? Flippity flop, you're spinning like a top, making decisions like you in a rum shop. 1 minute is down, the next minute is up. This mad behavior need to stop. Your mouth saying one thing, your actions say another. You're changing tune faster than stormy weather. You're drunk on confusion, lost in the mix. You lie so much that you're falling for your own tricks. You promise golden tomorrows, all talk and no gain. But all we get is headlines and a pocket full of pain.
You sell we hope for contracts, small light in the stain. While we watching empty tanks and recall your fraudulent campaign.
You're preaching heavy duty, but you like when trouble come. Like a masquerade of leadership, the truth stay mum.
We tired of sweet talk, sugar, we want action, not fame. So come out from the rum shop and stop playing with games.
Flippity flop, you're spinning like a top, making decisions like you in a rum shop. 1 minute is down, the next minute is up. This mad behavior need to stop. Your mouth saying one thing, your actions say another. You're changing tune faster than stormy weather. You're drunk on confusion, lost in the mix. You lie so much that you're falling for your own tricks.
People, one thing you could say about Trinbagonians, be very talented. I don't know who the singers are, but they have it on cork, as young people are saying. Listen to this.
You ever notice how in this country, hypocrisy doesn't even hide anymore? It walks right up to the camera, smiles, and asks for patience. Let's talk about the Dragon Gas Project and the jaw-dropping hypocrisy we're seeing from this government. These are the same people who mocked, attacked, and condemned every single effort to work with Venezuela. They called President Maduro a narco-terrorist. They threatened to blast Venezuelan vessels out of our waters. They even backed wild talk about India nuking Venezuela. That's not diplomacy, and that's madness. And now they want to rewrite history and call it intensive energy diplomacy? Please, let's be clear. Stuart Young built the Dragon Foundation. Years of quiet, technical, professional work with PDVSA and OFAC regulations. He laid the groundwork while others were busy throwing insults across the Gulf. And now those same people who destroyed every line of communication with Caracas have the nerve to tell him, stay quiet while we do our work. Work? You mean the same work you burned to ashes with your own reckless mouths? Michael Edmund Danny hit the nail on the head. This isn't diplomacy. It's political theater dressed up in patriotic slogans. You can't threaten a country 1 year and beg them for gas the next. You can't call their president illegitimate, then call their vice president Madame Dulcie with a smile, pretending nothing happened. This government destroyed relationships, damaged credibility, and now wants applause for trying to clean up their own mess. The gas is still locked. The OFAC license still unapproved. And the only thing flowing freely right now is hypocrisy. Let's call it what it is. Not intensive energy diplomacy, but intensive damage control. Because you can't burn bridges for clout and then beg for gas when the lights start to dim.
That is not my work again. And all those who send me clippings and stuff that I do use from time to time, thank you all so much for that. And again, you all were won, the country was won before the general election, and for one reason or the other, you all choose to ignore and either didn't vote, voted UNC, and we are where we are today. We would have told you all everything. Nothing that is happening now, we haven't told you all will happen. So apparently some of you all wanted to go through it because sometimes the best teacher sometimes is when you actually live through the experience. So probably living through this experience, when it's time to vote, legally time to vote, that you all will do different that you all would have done for April 2025. But there's nothing else you could come. No sense talking about Kamala is a drunk. And all they heard all them things that they need to told you that she corrupt, the UNC corrupt, allegation of corruption, they spend all the money from the treasury like that. All they heard all those things, and that didn't sway people. It didn't sway people. So I don't know if the threat of war and involving Trinidad and Tobago would do it. I don't know. I don't know if going to the IMF, which we are heading, because they said that the PNM government hinged everything on the dragon gas. That is not true. We've always been told, if you go on Facebook, whether as minister or just you will see everything outlined there. We know where the basket was full of different eggs. They weren't just dependent on dragon gas. It had manatee, coquina, it had calypso, it has so many other things. The restructuring of Atlantic LNG, where we get getting more money, the restructuring of the price payment for gas that we're selling. A lot of different things were happening. Lara solar project and so many other things that the PNM government had put in place, were putting in place, and were already reaping benefits from. Some of the work coming from the PNM, Minister Stuart Young, who was negotiating all these deals, is going to come to fruition, some part of it in 2027. So for them to be continually saying PNM put everything in on the drag, that is not true. Had the PNM done that, the country would have gone to the IMF a long time. They did not do that. And for Dr. Munilal, all respect, to tell Stuart Young to keep quiet and all that. Why must he keep quiet? He's the one negotiated all them deals and them. The only deal Kevin Rongley had negotiated for this country when he was Minister of Energy was a deal with Tokyo, where we end up having to pay $900 million had it not been for the intervention of the same Stuart Young going with Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley out to Japan and renegotiated that deal. So the UNC don't have no history of negotiation. You all remember coming up with a sister, stand up with a bottle of dirty water with Kevin Ramaran and say we find oil. All remember that? What oil we did find? So we told you all kind of things before and all they want to hear. So probably when the IMF step in and this oil deal does not, this gas deal does not go the way they expect it to go, then probably you all will say, okay. And even if it go the way them expect it to go, will you all feel comfortable getting Venezuela gas like that? As I made the analogy, that a spranger go by somebody and thief the gas tank, where they pay for and come and sell it to you for $20 and you buy it because you know what? You always wanted a gas tank and you want to pay the $400 for it or nothing. So the spranger thief it and bring it and you buy it. Is that how we want to do business with a sovereign country? That is basically like stealing the people thing. Like stealing people thing. That is just my analogy of the whole thing, right? I want to say good night on Facebook, Christopher, Coffee, Emmeline, Melka, Andrew, Joycelyn, Augusto, Bolty, Denise, Bernadine, and Jocelyn. Who again I'm seeing? Zara O'Brien, Diamond, Trini Jewels, Rena Jennings, Keith Marshall, Joyce Nevis, Robert Lewis, who again, Hollis Antoine, Hazel Frederick, who again we have Donna Seeley, and all those whose names I haven't called, like Miss Angela Lacroix, Roxanne King, Helen Ross Rojas, Cheryl Hull, Charles Crease, and so many, Mary here. There's so many others. Erica Richardson, Sarah, Lorna, Ginger, Ophelia, Allison, Ruth Fane, Dr. Lloyd Straker, Lucy, Cheryl Seeley, Allison Phillip, Gemina Lazar, Francia Pancho, E.A. Shorty, Victoria from San Juan, and she whole friend from Wamit Yips, McDonald Bantu, and so many others. Thank you all for always staying locked on, tuning to Louis Talk the Thing. Let me see who I could see here on Bounce Up. Mr. Gibson, Jen Gill. Yeah, for one to be out, but them in care, no? Sister, them didn't care at all. The people in this country, them didn't care. Everything is a give and a joke. A give and a joke. They see me have time to tell nobody your camera is no drunk and wet. Me have time with that. David Clark. I said, don't see the David Clark. Yeah, David Clark. Let me see who again we have. M837. And Annette Moses. Thea. Let me see who again. I called Sarah already. Anton Batiste. Rockman. My whole girl Rockman Gangadine. I love you. Trendsetter. Oh, Mr. Gibson, I said already. Dion Lewis. Helen Rossi across here. Big tune. Veronique Nicole. And let me see who again. The Trendsetter. Papa. Let me see who again. Right. I want to thank you all again. I would just bring the information out there and I would share it. It's up to you to understand it. Where you don't understand, ask somebody, ask a friend, and I will be me, my authentic me. The PNM had a press conference today. I was listening, and then the feed went down and it didn't come back. So I don't know if the opposition leader, political leader, was there or not, but I did hear Paris Alwari speaking because he's SC, so he has spoken on certain things relevant. I've heard Marvin Gonzalez speak about the whole Wasta issue and things like that, very relevant. And when Mr. Dan Raj or Dan Paul, who is the senator, the opposition senator, was speaking, that's when the feed went down. So I think he would have mentioned something about the either 600 million or 6 million or something that affect money that was already being depleted or some. I have to go back and listen properly, but it's what we have been saying and what Minister Siotiong or Member of Parliament Siotiong has been saying, and Dr. Rowley. When they can make the bills and they start to say, this one and that one, whatever the case, the IMF come in. That is a reality. The IMF will be coming. Unless, as I say again, they want a sprung. They want, like the analogy I give with the sprung and thieving. The people gas tank and selling it for small money, if that is what they're waiting on. But that is wrong. That is wrong. That is wrong. So people, love you all. See you all on Friday. Go spend a comment something for something new. This is Gil Jen, Sister Jenny, Auntie Jenny. If you want to get phone, it's Miss Jennifer Frederick, and additionally, we talk the thing. And I will continue to speak on issues concerning the People's National Movement. I will continue to speak on issues concerning the opposition leader and political leader, because at the end of the day, we need a strong opposition party and a leader to deal with these people who we have in the parliament on the government side. And I am not going to let nobody make me feel no how for speaking what is true. And me speaking about the political leader doesn't weaken the PNM, nor does it weaken the opposition leader. And if it does, it shows you how the bad state the PNM really is in. If me talking and saying the political leader, opposition leader is weak, politically weak, that is weakening her and making she look bad and making the PNM look bad, well, then the PNM in a worse state than I think it is. I think something like that should make her, strengthen her, make her to come out fighting, come out to show what that woman's saying. In fact, what you even study my saying for? Come out and show, because it's not me alone saying it. And she continued to show up and not give anything that her speeches are too long, so I want her to tell her speechwriter, if she has one, please get to the point. Please get to the point. The incessant rambling is irritating. You can't write a speech that have about 10 paragraphs in it. That is not a speech, that's a thesis. So work on little things like that. Please, please, I don't care who upset with me, please get a fashion designer. Get somebody to dress you. Dress, man. You are the political leader, the first female political leader, People's National Movement. Hey, rock it. Get a good designer. Get some fashion people to get you together when you have to be out there. So you say, hey, watch me. Yeah? Those things are factual. And I'm not supporting nobody just because they're black. If you can't do the job, then we'll find something that you could do. But we're not encouraging you to do a job that you're not qualified to do and say because you're black, we are allowing it. No, that's mediocrity. We ancestors wasn't about that. We ancestors was about brilliance, intelligence, diligence, work ethic. That's what we're about. Getting the right person to do the job and doing it well. And whatever field it is, but not putting in a position where you're not able to and still we go pacify you because you're black. I'm not into that. So people see you on Friday, go spend a comment something for something new. And the more they cost me, the more my blessing continue to flow. Love you all.
Well, me there now Studio 53. Alone say my brother Angelo. Why? Guru 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 do. Why yeah. Wa wa wa. Na. Boy yeah. Tell him to remember in Niger. Son up in no time we on fire. Remember Daniel. We sit up in the lion's den. Somebody. Remember Salaman. Tell them who walk as a wise man. And King David. Remember you come out of Babylon. Tell them say who God bless. Tell them we say no man curse. Don't matter how hard things get. Almighty pass me through the worst. Yeah, well, who shall bless? Tell them say no man curse. Don't matter how hard things get. When Jaja carry me through the worst. Remember, when Jaja never give me more than I can carry. And though my journey is so rocky, and the burden is so heavy. Yeah, but through life experience, I let you keep people at a distance. Don't matter how the enemy responds. So let's see me guide us. Yeah, cause I who shall bless. We tell them no man curse. Don't matter how the wicked them get. We Jaja pass me through the worst. Yeah, who shall bless. Tell them no man curse. No matter how hard things get, we just pass me through the worst. Yeah, me know life so hard. Me nobody struggle, tell them down in the yard. And even when things get so bad, is only one man give me my reward. What? That's God. My mama always tell me, stay away from trouble daily and keep away from bad company. And anything you want, ask the Almighty, 'cause who Jah bless. When tell them say no man curse. No matter how hard things get, we Jah pass me through the worst. Yeah. Who Jah bless. We tell them say no man curse. No matter how hard things get, we Jah pass me through the worst. Well then again, do you remember me like her? We stand up in no chariot of fire. Remember Daniel? We sit up in the lion's den. Yeah. You remember King Solomon? Who walk up on this earth as a wise man. Remember King David? When they reach out to Babylon. Yeah. 'Cause who Jah bless. We tell them it's no man curse. No matter how hard things get, we just pass me through the worst. Yeah. Who Jah bless. We tell them it's no man curse. No matter how hard things get, we just pass me through the worst. Yeah. I say love Jah live and yet a man die. I say let loose the pussy gander, let Babylon turn over like crimson and clover. Yeah, well I be ice, I show the ice, gold and green band, and me comfy kick Babylon in them face, spitting at their mouth, kick them way, done them can't stand up in the judgment too long. Selassie I lives and reign forever.